Police said the dead man was the driver of this Falcon. He apparently tried to overtake a vehicle on the Pacific Highway near 9 Mile Creek. The Falcon collided head-on with a northbound vehicle, which then spun and veered into a third car. Emergency services were on full alert with 2 people trapped. The driver of the Land Cruiser, Robert Harris, his wife and 8-year-old son of East Maitland were rushed to Royal Newcastle Hospital. Today, Mr Harris remains in intensive care with head injuries. This latest smash brings the state's Queen's Birthday road toll to 6.
Tony Kemp makes his living selling speedy machines, but it's his own pace that won him a place in the Kiwi test side.
The coach of the New Zealand team, Bob Bailey's a free-flowing, attacking type of coach, and that's a type of style he likes playing, and he's obviously picked a young side who can attack, from anywhere on the field.
The irony of being picked for a New Zealand side while playing reserve grade at club level isn't lost on the versatile Kiwi, who says the situation simply reflects the different coaching styles of Bailey and Alan McMahon.
I've played under Bob before, and his coaching and Alan McMahon's coaching are totally different, and the style that Bob wants is definitely going to suit me, and I'm just looking forward to getting home and hopefully playing out the whole test series.
Kemp is certain the young Kiwi team can do the job. One not so sure is veteran Sam Stewart. He too languishes in reserve grade, but despite being named New Zealand's Player of the Series against Australia last year, he wasn't given the same opportunity as his younger teammate.
Test matches are very hard, and probably the referee's a little more lenient. You don't really get sent off in test matches, and it can be pretty rugged out there. And I don't think there's probably a lot of room for touch football in a test match.
There is still confusion tonight about what exactly happened on Swansea Bar yesterday, but there's no doubt that quick action by surfers averted a catastrophe. According to Coast Guard eyewitnesses, it appears the group from Penrith were returning through the Swansea Channel from a fishing trip out at sea in 2 small runabouts. It seems John Hepburn, 38, was washed out of his boat by a large wave on the bar. Surfers helped him onto his friend's orange Savage runabout. To avoid hitting the surfers, the boat elected to turn back into the waves. Within minutes, it had flipped over, trapping Mr Miles and 42-year-old Mr White, leaving Mr Hepburn hanging onto the overturned hull. One surfer pulled Mr White free, while another resuscitated him on his surfboard. But it took 20 minutes to free Mr Miles, who technically died twice before being airlifted to hospital.
But it was just luckily we were in the channel at the time, because they wouldn't have got out. You just got to look in the boat there, there's ropes and everything everywhere.
We'd like to recommend the surfers. They acted brilliantly to keep the men alive and safe until we could get to them.
Derby Street is one of many in Newcastle to suffer losses and survive. The earthquake hit hard, with many businesses forced to close, some only just reopening. But traders fear a proposal to turn the street into a clearway could be the final nail in the coffin of their inner city businesses.
I think I'd most probably have to consider closing. I've not recovered from the earthquake yet. I'm still in debt from that. If people can't park, they won't come in. My business, they have to carry things, and there's a limit to the distance they'll walk carrying picture frames. So, I don't know, it's just going to be a total disaster for me.
Newcastle City Council's Traffic Committee recommended that traffic counts be carried out. This was adopted by Council last month. The idea was to investigate the need for parking restrictions to allow 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. The traffic counts have already been carried out by the Roads and Traffic Authority and Council and will be presented to the committee early next month. A decision is expected in late July. But many traders say they have not been informed of these plans and have had no chance to voice their objections.
I don't think people would like to park and then walk crossing heavy traffic or fast traffic here. You know, we're doing fine now, and I really don't see the need to make it more, to speed up the traffic a few seconds and lose the amenity and the pleasantness of being around this heritage area.
It would be very inconvenient for all of our patients here. There's not much parking out the front in the street as it is. Most patients are usually running late when they attend for their appointments because they say they've been driving around for 5 or 10 minutes trying to find a park.
I do feel that it will affect my business, that people have trouble parking here now, and if it's a Clearway and they can't park, then it will affect my business, yes.
Poker machines have been the financial mainstay of the state's clubs for decades, but they're about to meet a rival. State President of the New South Wales Club Association, John Whittle, addressed a meeting of Newcastle, Hunter and Central Coast Club officials this afternoon. They already know what's in store for clubs who introduce Keno on the 1st of February next year.
At the moment, a standalone poker machine can pay up to $10,000 and an in-house link can pay up to $100,000. The jackpot on Keno will be $250,000, so it certainly is a bigger game.
But clubs believe Keno won't distract the poker machine players. Keno is a more social game akin to bingo, but with prizes up to $250,000. Pokey players will still be able to play Keno without interrupting their battles against the one-armed bandits. But that's not all the clubs are promising. The humble poker machine will soon be part of a statewide link system, possibly within this year.
There'll be a bigger system than presently exists. In America, for example, the prize gets as high as $7 million. So you can imagine the type of prize that we could have in New South Wales when there could be 5,000 machines linked on the system.
If you're worried that clubland is turning into casino world, fear not. The clubs say their revenue will still be turned back into the community, and as if to make the point, Mr Whittle presented a cheque valued at $264,000 to Newcastle Lord Mayor John McNaughton. It's the New South Wales Club's contribution towards the earthquake appeal.
It's been a difficult time for the Wiltshire family. Since the Rock and Robin went missing last Friday, they've remained adamant the crew is still alive.
We believe that the 4 or possibly some of the guys are alive in the life raft that hasn't been found, and they're still out there in the ocean somewhere.
But with the days passing and funds running low, the family met today to decide whether to give up or continue their privately funded search.
The next stage is to see what resources are available, what sort of planes are available, and make a decision and start, concentrating on a search effort.
To keep looking, the family needs money. Already they've spent $100,000, but with a day's search costing $20,000, they need public help. Donations to the Robin Wiltshire appeal can be made at any Westpac bank. The name of the 4th crew member has also been released. He is 34-year-old Andrew Young. His wife Lynn has joined the Wiltshires in their search. Jodie McKay for NBN News.
It's based on the annual state extravaganza held at Sydney's Entertainment Centre. The huge cast is made up of students from Belmont High School and Floraville, Elibana, Valentine, Marks Point, Belmont, Belmont North and Jules primary schools. The logistics of organising such a large number of students, along with music, choreography, costumes and lighting, will be daunting for seasoned directors, but the teachers have taken the task well within their stride.
Well, I suppose it's a bit of a challenge, but with the help of all the teachers from all the schools, it hasn't been too difficult. Very tiring and time-consuming, but not difficult.
The show begins with 10 alien monsters landing on Earth. The little green men and the audience are taken on a whirlwind tour of the world through song, drama, dance and mime. This was the final rehearsal before opening tonight.
The machine is being tested on this 2.5 kilometre stretch of the F3 freeway near Wyong. Instead of tearing up the roadway and replacing it with new asphalt, this German-built machine recycles the material.
The fact that you can recycle the existing equipment is an enormous plus, and that you don't have trucks coming in and out and bringing in new material into the site. It uses whatever's there and uses it very effectively.
The road surface is heated to a temperature of 125 degrees Celsius until it melts. It's then sliced up, mixed with a small quantity of new material and relaid. According to Transport Minister Bruce Baird, by recycling the material, road maintenance costs are dramatically reduced.
It has the potential to save us 40% of our maintenance bill in many of our road maintenance activities, and of course the convenience, so you don't have to cart the material away and bring in fresh material.
This stretch of the freeway would normally cost the RTA $322,000 to resurface, but with the recycling machine, the cost is reduced by $100,000. Instead of having 15 men on the job, the machine needs only 9 to operate it. According to the RTA, the recycling technology also minimises traffic delays and provides a smoother surface. Once this section of the freeway is complete, the Roads and Traffic Authority plan to trial the recycling machine in Brisbane. They have until the end of the year to decide whether they'll lease or purchase the $2.1 million machine. Jodie McKay for NBN News.
One of the major environmental concerns of the next century will be global warming. Mother Earth is increasing in temperature. The threat is a rising sea level as the polar caps melt. Scientists seeking to explain what's happening describe the phenomena as the greenhouse effect. CO2, CFCs and nitrogen-based gases break down the ozone layer, allowing more heat in from the sun but preventing that radiation from escaping. For some time, coal-fired power stations have been blamed for adding CO2 to the atmosphere and contributing to the effect. Now the boss of the World Coal Institute has spoken out. Bruce Thompson addressed the Rotary Club of Newcastle today, calling for facts to replace emotion in the debate.
Coal contributes about 8% of the total greenhouse gases, and we need that to be recognised. That's coal used in power stations for electricity generation.
While not agreeing with it, Mr Thompson offered the alternative view that more CO2 could actually benefit the world by increasing agricultural output and increasing water resources. And when compared with nuclear power and the burning of oil, coal was by far the cleanest alternative.
And we are really left with fossil fuels to be the mainstay of world generation. And within the fossil fuel range, coal is the most readily available, the safest to transport, the safest to store, and the safest to use.
The outcry over on-campus security was sparked by an attack on a first-year student last Wednesday night. The lone male was walking to the residential colleges when he was accosted by two men brandishing a knife. Student leaders seized on the incident as a symptom of the university's disregard for student safety. They claim students are forced to use poorly lit, inadequate pathways to reach the main campus. But the university administration denies the students' allegations. They say a site development plan, which incorporates the safety aspects of paths and lighting, is under consideration.
I think what people should realise is that the student residences are on one side, the former Hunter Institute was in the middle and the university was on the other side, but now that we're all one campus, a lot of projects such as pathways and lighting are being looked at and are being developed in the long term.
But plans do little to ease the students' immediate concerns. For the moment, the university asks them to exercise caution and avoid walking alone on isolated pathways.
Well, what we have done is stepped up security patrols in that area. We're asking students to keep to well-lit areas and to define pathways between the residences and the main campus. There are also two minibuses operating between the student residences and the main campus, and asking students to use those if possible.
Six months down the track, a Newcastle University psychologist want to know how your life has been affected by the earthquake. 5,000 randomly selected households will receive these survey forms in the mail. A further 1,000 will go to special groups, including emergency and welfare workers, the injured, small business owners and displaced homeowners.
We are basing our study on other studies that have been done with disaster research, the Queen Street shootings and the Ash Wednesday fires, and so some of the measures that we're using in our study have also been used in these, and we'll be able to compare our results.
The researchers hope their findings will help counteract psychological and social problems in future disasters. While a body of research exists on other Australian tragedies, this will be the first academic venture into the psychological implications of an earthquake. Preliminary results should be available within 6 weeks. Leslie Robinson for NBN News.
Firthly, Sydney architects have a successful track record in commercial and industrial architecture, landscaping and town planning, with clients like Pepsi, 7up, Sharp and Telecom. From their new office in Newcastle, they hope to play a major role in the redevelopment of the city.
Our aim eventually is to provide an architecture that highlights productivity and will give, as I say, the commerce industry the product that they really deserve, and that is a no-nonsense approach towards architecture, because Newcastle is, as you know, very much a no-nonsense town.
This is where Council envisages Newcastle's new railway terminus. Just west of the Hunter Mall, the chosen site lies near Brown Street, midway between the existing station and Civic. In choosing this location, Council has gone out on a limb, opting for a site not included in the comprehensive Travers Morgan Transport and Development Study. The decision came after a 3.5-hour meeting last night. Lord Mayor John McNaughton cast the deciding vote, joining his ALP colleagues in supporting the new terminus.
The particular advantage is it's right on the edge of the mall. It brings the people right to where we really need them from a retailing sense. It also brings them close to where we want to generate much more employment. And I see that as being that advantage. But the other advantage is it opens up the foreshore.
So where did the Brown Street proposal come from? Certainly not the Travers Morgan study. The Lord Mayor says Council has adopted an idea which emerged in the public submissions. Council staff confirmed today that Alec Young, Chairman of the Hunter Development Board, put forward a submission for such a terminus. The Lord Mayor applauds such public input.
The thing that I'm pleased about the whole thing is that this came out of the public arena. It shows what happens when you do a study and you put it on public exhibition. You get things back that need to be carefully considered, and that's the case here.
Council had almost 1,000 submissions from the general public, and the Lord Mayor found it convenient to latch upon one which suited his point of view. The question is, what about all the other submissions which Council ignored on the night?
The Lord Mayor's enthusiasm for the Brown Street proposal meets with cynicism from community activists. There are claims today that politics was the critical factor in a decision that's merely a pretext to hide a preference for a civic terminus.
Politics. There is a clear view on the part of some aldermen that it should be at civic, and it would appear that the ALP aldermen felt unable to vote for civic in public, so they voted for a non-option to stop it somewhere in the middle.
You're basically suggesting that Council is taking the cowardly way out in this instance.
Well, there's been no evidence that Council is prepared to represent public opinion on the matter. It would appear that Council has simply been looking for a way to get themselves off the hook and to go along with the state government option, which the SRA wants to take the railway right back to Newcastle, to Civic Station, and sell off all the land.
Politics aside, City Rail has doubts too. General Manager John Zantiotis anticipates engineering and logistic problems with the Brown Street site. He says neither he or State Rail executives were consulted over the proposal. To his knowledge, the only consultation was with union officials.
I can assure you on that the unions do not run City Rail, and before anything can be done, we need to look with the engineers, with transport and analysts, to see whether we can achieve the objective that we would have achieved at Civic.
Would you consider it an oversight on Council's part that consultation didn't take place?
Yes, I believe it has been an oversight, and that this, I believe, can be sorted out in the next few days.
Lord Mayor, will the Brown Street proposal eventuate?
Yes, I believe it will. I think that's the answer to the city's rejuvenation.
John is always optimistic, but again, let me say, we'll only get one chance to do it right. This is the time to do it right. One needs to ascertain whether we can achieve a proper, total integrated transport system in Brown Street. Until that decision has been made that we can or we can't, it's being very optimistic.
I don't see any reason at this stage for believing that Brown Street is a goer. I think it's just a non-option, a smokescreen that will disguise the retreat back to Civic.
The final decision rests with Deputy Premier Wal Murray and Transport Minister Bruce Baird. Whatever the outcome, it now seems the end of the line for Newcastle Station is almost certain. Leslie Robinson for Newsnight.
Soon after 6 o'clock tonight, the Hamilton firemen were heading out on a regular training run. Without sirens or lights flashing, the truck turned into Belford Street, and it was here, just outside the station, they collided with a Sigma wagon travelling in the same direction. The police rescue was called, but no one was injured in the smash. The front left-hand side of the fire engine was damaged, and another truck from Newcastle was called in as a standby vehicle in case of a fire. The fire brigade has been tight-lipped about the crash, only to say their accident record in the past has been good.